Hi, I'm Rick Purcell. I have to tell you that I love life. I love the abundance of life. The fact that we are surrounded by life, from the tiniest microorganisms to the giant majestic whales splashing and crashing about in the oceans. You know, life truly is a gift. It's a miracle. You imagine that we started off as a monocell and split into what is estimated to be 60 to 100 trillion cells to make up this body. This is the miracle of life. And here we are being gifted with this miracle. You know, life is like a huge big playing field. It's like a field of potential that we can dip into and draw out what it is we want to create in the world. And this is why I have such a love for life, is that the more we get to experience, the more we're willing to step out of our comfort zone and experience life, the more richly fulfilling it is. And some of the elements that I love about life are the environment. I'm passionate about the environment, about maintaining it, and all the joy and pleasure that it gives. Nature provides us with this extraordinary orchestra, this extraordinary paint palette of colors. I'm also fascinated with humanity, the human family, the indomitable will of the human spirit, where we've come over the ages, how we've progressed, the trials and tribulations. What an extraordinary evolution that we've gone through, particularly in the last 400 or 500 years, through the industrial age and the technology age, and now we are entering an age that is indescribable. It's been named by a few, but we don't really know what it is, but we know that it's leading to something better than what we have now. And finally, my passion lies with Mother Earth, the planet Earth, a living entity that supports us and provides us with everything that we need: our food, our clothing, our transport, our shelter. We are on the path to a new humanity, a new way of being, so that we can all enjoy what is happening on this planet and share it, caring for it. But before we do that, we need to really acknowledge that the world is in crisis. We have political crisis, ecological crisis, crisis in schools, in homes, in communities, in businesses, in governments, crisis between nations, religions and beliefs. And being the eternal optimist, I see this as being a step forward. As crazy that may sound, you see, crisis is the driver of change. Wherever there's crisis, there has been some change. Sure, it was challenging at the time, but when you look back in hindsight and reflect back, you will always see that you have moved to another space. You have grown through the experience, and crisis is that driver of change. We are going through an extraordinary transformation, not dissimilar from the caterpillar to the butterfly. It's called the human metamorphosis. We are awakening to our true identity, and it's a painful process. We have to let go of all the old paradigms and carry with us that which works into a new way of being. So it's clear that we have to make a change, and we have to change that first by changing our own personal mindset. Albert Einstein once said, "You cannot solve a problem with the same thinking that created it." Buckminster Fuller said, "Don't waste your time trying to fix an old broken system, create a new one." So here we are, 2014, on the cusp of creating a new humanity, a new way of being, doing and having. And all of this is leading to some confusion and some chaos and disorder, but out of that chaos will become clarity, and out of the disorder will become order. And we will evolve into a more caring, loving, sharing, compassionate human being, where everybody can thrive and survive. Cause no harm is a cultural change process. It's an opportunity to create a future without causing harm. It's a practical system that you can bring into your own home, and it starts with you and I, making a transformation, making a commitment to change. It's like ripples in a pond. One small pebble can create a ripple effect. It starts with us. Much of humanity believes that it is acceptable to cause a bit of harm. Oh, what is this going to matter? It's just a little bit. Just a bit of pollution here, a bit of rubbish out the window here, a little bit of oil down the drain. What difference is that going to make? Well, all those little elements match up and build up. And before we know it, we finish up with a planet that is in ecological problems. So we have to look at our belief system and change it from one that it's acceptable to cause harm to one that it is totally unacceptable. It is unacceptable under any conditions. We have caused harm to ourselves in the way we think about ourselves, what we believe about ourselves, what we've been told. You'll never make it. Right? You're too lazy. Or we say to ourselves, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm unlovable, right? I'm not old enough, I'm too old, I'm not educated enough. And so we tell ourselves these stories and we believe them, and then what we believe will be reflected in our behaviors and our actions. We cause harm to ourselves through the emotions that we carry around: blame, shame, regret, grief, anger, irritability. All of these lower emotions that have an impact on us, on our health and well-being, and on others. And finally, how we cause harm to ourselves is through the physical manifestation. Physically hurting ourselves, what we ingest, poisons that are put in food, additives, colouring, sugars. All of these can have a profound effect on our physical well-being. And as we become more conscious and aware, we will start to make more conscious, aware choices, more responsible choices, and we'll stop doing these things to ourselves. Once we have grown this awareness, it will be a natural progression to want to help others. And we have a look at how we may be causing harm to other people. To others, we wage war on each other. We fight, we argue, we harm each other. We say things that we don't mean to say. We cause emotional turmoil within others and physically can harm them. When we feel separate from someone or something, then the opportunity arises that we could cause harm. And that's when the damage starts. From there we go out to our possessions and our assets and our belongings. How do we cause harm to those? And look at it. What is our behavior that causes harm to these and causes them to have more breakdowns and less viability? Moving a step further, you see we're moving out of this circle into a more conscious, aware state. How do we cause harm to our immediate environment in which we live, work and play? Perhaps through the use of discharging of chemicals down the drain, or plastic bags, poisoning the water, or vapors into the sky. From that point on, we look at the planet as a whole. You see, we're growing our awareness all the time. We are becoming more conscious, making more responsible and conscious choices. And so it's a natural progression that we want to look at how are we causing harm to the planet. This will come very easily. It will become very natural. We will look at what damage we're causing and we will want to rectify this. We will want to change this. We want to swing to renewable sources of energy, regain the ability to farm and grow agriculture through permaculture and traditional ways that were non-invasive, removing the use of chemicals and pollutants to the waterways, to the soil, and to the air. So then, the final step of this cause no harm process is to look at how we cause damage to future generations. You know, years ago in Native American traditions, they always made their decisions and thoughts based on what would happen 7 generations ahead. That's a long time. So if we could move our mindset to thinking about how is this going to affect generations of the future, not just our own children, but their children and their children. They deserve to inherit a beautiful planet, a planet that is safe, secure, and where they can thrive and grow and expand as human beings. We have to look at how we're causing harm to future generations and what the legacy we're leaving them. Because we can, at this juncture in our evolution, we have the opportunity to arrest the decline of the environmental damage and create a beautiful place here on earth. A peaceful place, compassionate place, loving place for ourselves, for others, for all species, and for our future generations. I think this is what you want. I know it's what I want. Will you join me on this journey?